You ever notice how there's always that one person who just doesn't like you, and you have no idea why? You barely talk to them, you've never wronged them, yet every interaction feels cold, distant, almost uncomfortable. And the worst part isn't even their behavior, it's what it does to your mind. You start replaying every conversation, overanalyzing every word, wondering if you said something wrong, if you came off the wrong way, if somehow it's your fault. It slowly gets under your skin. You question yourself. You doubt your personality. You even consider changing how you act just to make them like you. Because deep down, we all want to be accepted, right? So when someone rejects you for no clear reason, it feels personal, even when it shouldn't. But here's the truth most people never tell you. You didn't do anything wrong. The problem isn't your behavior, your personality, or your worth. The real reason they don't like you has nothing to do with you at all. And once you understand what's actually going on beneath the surface, everything starts to make sense, and more importantly, it stops messing with your head. So why does this actually happen? Why would someone dislike you when you've done nothing to them? The answer is uncomfortable, but powerful. It's because you act like a mirror, not just any mirror, a mirror that reflects back everything they're trying to avoid about themselves. Think about it. If you're confident, you naturally highlight their lack of confidence. If you're happy, you remind them of the parts of their life that feel empty. If you're making progress, achieving things, or simply showing up as your authentic self, it forces them to confront the gap between who they are and who they wish they could be. And that gap, that's where insecurity lives. For someone who is secure, this isn't a problem. They can see your success or your confidence and feel inspired, or at the very least, neutral. But for someone who is already struggling internally, your presence becomes a trigger. You don't even have to say or do anything. Just being who you are is enough to make them uncomfortable. And instead of facing that discomfort, instead of asking themselves hard questions or working on their own growth, they take the easier path. They project. This is a psychological defense mechanism where people take feelings they don't want to accept in themselves and place them onto someone else. In simple terms, they don't like what they see in the mirror, so they start disliking the mirror itself. That's why their behavior feels so confusing. You're trying to find a logical reason based on your actions, but their reaction isn't coming from logic. It's coming from emotion, from insecurity, comparison, and internal frustration. You didn't cause it, you just triggered it. And once you truly understand this, something clicks. You stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" and start realizing, this was never about me in the first place. Have you ever noticed how they can be completely different depending on who they're around? With other people, they're warm, relaxed, laughing, making jokes like everything is perfectly fine. But the moment you show up, something shifts. The energy drops, the smile disappears. Conversations become short, awkward, or they suddenly find a reason to leave. And you're left standing there wondering what just changed. This isn't random. It's not because they're shy or having a bad day. If that were the case, they'd act that way with everyone. But they don't. They choose when to be warm and when to be cold, and with you, it's intentional. This is what's called selective hostility. It's a clear signal that the issue isn't social anxiety or mood. It's specifically directed at you. On a deeper level, this behavior is a subtle power move. By being friendly with others but cold toward you, they create contrast. And that contrast is meant to be felt. It makes you question yourself. It makes you feel excluded, like you're somehow less welcome or less likable. Without saying a single word, they establish distance and control the social dynamic. But here's what's really happening. Being warm toward you would mean accepting you. And their mind isn't willing to do that. To them, you represent something uncomfortable, something threatening. So instead of confronting that feeling, they create space. They pull back. They shut down, not because you did something wrong, but because getting close to you would force them to deal with what you reflect back at them. Another behavior that's quieter, but just as revealing, is how they handle eye contact. When you're talking to them, they rarely look at you. Their eyes drift to their phone, the room, or literally anywhere else. In a group, they can maintain natural eye contact with everyone, but the moment it's your turn to speak, their attention shifts away. It's subtle, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Eye contact is one of the most basic forms of human connection. It signals respect, attention, and acknowledgement. It says, "I see you, and what you're saying matters." So when someone consistently avoids eye contact with you but not with others, it's not accidental. It's deliberate avoidance. They're not just disengaging from the conversation, they're disengaging from you as a person. On a deeper psychological level, this behavior reflects a refusal to recognize you as an equal. Looking you in the eyes would mean acknowledging your presence, your value, your place in the social space. And for someone who feels threatened or insecure around you, that's uncomfortable. So instead, they withdraw that acknowledgement. They deny you that basic level of respect. It may seem small, but the message is clear. You don't matter enough for my attention. And while they may never say it out loud, their behavior communicates it constantly. This is one of the most frustrating behaviors because it makes you question your own value. You speak up, share an idea, or contribute something meaningful, and it's like it never even happened. No pratikriya, no acknowledgement, no response. The conversation just moves on as if you said nothing. But then, a few minutes later, someone else repeats almost the exact same idea, and suddenly, it's brilliant. People agree, they engage, they give credit, just not to you. This isn't coincidence. It's called social invalidation, and it's very intentional. By ignoring your input while validating others, they're controlling who gets recognized and who doesn't. And in their mind, giving you credit would elevate your position in the group, something they don't want. So instead, they erase your contribution in real time. What makes this even more damaging is how subtle it is. Most people in the room won't notice it happening. To them, it just looks like a normal conversation. But you feel it every single time. That slight pause after you speak. The lack of reaction. The moment your words just disappear into silence. Over time, it can make you doubt yourself, your ideas, your intelligence, even your confidence. But here's the truth. It's not about the quality of what you said. It's about who said it. They're not rejecting the idea, they're rejecting you. Because if they allow you to be seen as valuable, insightful, or influential, it threatens the way they see themselves in comparison. So instead, they minimize your presence to protect their own sense of status. This next behavior is harder to catch, but often more damaging than anything said to your face. Instead of confronting you directly, they talk about you behind your back, not in an obvious or aggressive way, but in subtle, carefully chosen words. It sounds harmless on the surface. They seem nice, but something feels off, or, I don't know, maybe they're trying a bit too hard. Nothing too harsh, nothing you can clearly point to, but just enough to plant doubt in other people's minds. This is a form of reputation sabotage. They're not attacking you openly because they don't have a real reason to justify it. So instead, they take a quieter approach. They drop small, vague criticisms that make others question your authenticity, your intentions, or your character. Over time, those small seeds grow. People start to look at you differently, not because of what you did, but because of what they've heard. What makes this behavior especially dangerous is how difficult it is to prove. Most of it happens through hearsay. Someone tells you, "Hey, I heard they said this about you," but there's no direct evidence. And if you confront them, they can easily deny it, twist their words, or claim they were misunderstood. That's exactly why they choose this method. It's low risk for them, but high impact on you. And while others may not immediately see what's happening, you feel the shift. The subtle change in how people respond to you. The slight hesitation, the unspoken doubt. It's all part of a strategy to control how others perceive you, without ever taking responsibility for it. The last behavior is often the most revealing, because it shows up when something good happens to you. You share a win, maybe you achieved a goal, got recognized, or reached a new milestone, and while everyone else is genuinely happy for you, this person reacts differently. Their smile feels forced, their tone is flat, and there's an awkward tension you can't quite ignore. Sometimes they barely respond at all, or they quickly change the subject, as if your success makes them uncomfortable. And if they do say something, it often comes with a subtle downgrade. "That's cool, but it's not that hard, right?" Or, "Yeah, I guess anyone could do that." It sounds like a compliment on the surface, but underneath, it's an attempt to shrink what you've achieved. They need to make it seem smaller so they don't have to confront how big it actually is. This is success resentment. In their mind, life is a comparison game, so when you win, it doesn't feel neutral to them, it feels like they're losing. Your progress highlights the gap between where they are and where they wish they were. And instead of being inspired by it, they feel threatened by it. That's why your success bothers them. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your win forces them to face something they'd rather avoid. When you step back and look at all these behaviors together, they all point to one core issue: insecurity. People who are genuinely confident in themselves don't feel the need to exclude others, ignore them, or tear them down behind the scenes. They're comfortable with who they are. They don't see your success, your confidence, or your happiness as a threat. They see it as neutral, or even inspiring. But insecure people operate differently. Your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting everything they feel they lack. If you're confident, it reminds them of their self-doubt. If you're successful, it highlights where they feel behind. If you're happy, it exposes their dissatisfaction. And instead of facing those uncomfortable feelings within themselves, they project them outward. That's why they hate you. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. You trigger something unresolved inside them, and rather than doing the hard work of fixing that internally, they choose the easier path, making you the problem. Once you understand this, everything changes. Their behavior stops being confusing, and it stops feeling personal, because at its core, it never was about you. So what should you not do when you recognize these patterns? First, don't try to win them over. It's tempting to be extra nice, to prove your value, or to somehow earn their approval. But the truth is, you can't fix a problem that doesn't come from you. Their dislike isn't based on logic, so no amount of effort or kindness will change it. Second, don't waste your energy explaining yourself. You might feel the urge to clear misunderstandings or defend your intentions, but they're not looking for clarity, they're reacting emotionally. Trying to justify yourself only pulls you deeper into a situation that was never fair to begin with. And most importantly, don't change who you are just to make them comfortable. Don't shrink your personality, dim your confidence, or hold back your success. The moment you start adjusting yourself to fit their insecurity, you lose something far more valuable: your authenticity. So, what should you do instead? First, accept the reality of the situation. Not everyone is going to like you, and that's completely okay. You don't need universal approval to have value. In fact, the more authentic you are, the more likely it is that some people won't resonate with you. And that's a sign you're being real, not a problem to fix. Second, stop taking it personally. I know that's easier said than done, but once you understand that their behavior is coming from their own insecurity, it changes everything. They're not reacting to who you truly are, they're reacting to what you represent in their mind. You're just the trigger, not the cause. And finally, keep being yourself. Don't shrink, don't dim your light, and don't hold back your growth just because it makes someone else uncomfortable. Stay confident, keep I am. So the next time you notice these signs, they're warm with everyone but cold with you, they avoid eye contact, ignore what you say, talk behind your back, and feel uncomfortable with your success, don't let it get into your head. These patterns all point to one thing, and it's not you. You are not the problem. You never were. If anything, you're simply reflecting something they're not ready to face. So stop questioning your worth, stop trying to fix what isn't broken, and move forward with confidence.